Within the K2500 song mode, you'll find a full-featured sequencer. For those of you who have never used a sequencer, it functions much like a tape recorder does, but instead of recording sound, it records events. When you play back the sequence, the 2500 recreates those events, and the instrument is played just as if you were playing notes yourself in real time. Of course, since this information has been recorded digitally, you can go back and edit individual events to change your performance or fix mistakes. If you have the rack, you'll probably want to use the local keyboard channel parameter. As I mentioned before, this parameter will rechannelize incoming information. By setting the local keyboard channel to 1, I can leave my keyboard transmitting on channel 1. Then as I go to record on each track, I can change tracks without having to change the transmit channel on the keyboard. When you first go to song mode, you'll be on song number 1, New Song. If you're not on that song, change to it. Let's look at the main song page. Along the bottom, you'll see a row of 16 tracks, along with MIDI channels assigned to those tracks. We've logically assigned track 1 to MIDI channel 1, track 2 to channel 2, etc. However, you can assign any MIDI channel you want to any track. You can even have more than one track assigned to the same channel. But keep in mind that you can only have one program on a channel at a time. So in that case, both tracks would be playing the same program. To record our first track, we'll set the record track to 1 and call up a bass program. We'll set the tempo to 100. Then we'll go to the miscellaneous page and set the record mode to linear and the play mode to loop. There are different ways of recording your data, and we'll be exploring the various record modes. Linear recording is just like recording to tape. We can record as long as we want until the memory runs out. Check that the count off is set to 1 and the click is set to record. This will give us a 1-bar count off before recording starts, and we'll hear the click when recording but not when playing back. Now press main to get back to the main page. In the upper right-hand corner, the 2500 displays the song status, which is stopped right now. Press the record button. Notice the display flashes record ready. When you hit play, the 2500 will count off 4 beats since we designated a 1-bar count off, and then begin recording. When you're done, the 2500 asks if you want to save. You can name your song here as well. We'll go ahead and save it. Now I'm going to make some changes to the track I recorded. First, I'm going to quantize it. Quantization is a tool which allows you to move your notes forward and backwards in time so that they line up with a grid. With this technique, if you've played in something and the rhythm isn't very accurate, you can go back and make it accurate. Press Edit to go into the song editor. There are several different types of editors. When you first enter the editor, you're on the Common page. This contains parameters such as tempo and time signature, which affects all tracks. Now press Track. This brings you into the Track editor. In this editor, there are a variety of functions which can be applied to a specific track for a given range of measures. The upper right-hand corner shows you which track you're currently recording. You can change tracks with the channel bank buttons. With function highlighted, scroll to quantize. Notice the boxed area on the right. This is called the region criteria window. You will find this for all track editing functions. It is where you set the range of measure that you want to edit, along with other criteria such as selecting notes in a certain range, or only certain controllers. Since we have just entered the editor, it is set to edit from the beginning of the song till our current endpoint, and to edit the entire range of notes. We'll leave these parameters set at their defaults. On the left side of the page, you see the parameters specific to quantization. The quantization parameter lets you choose how much quantization applies. At 100%, the notes will be moved all the way to the grid point. If you choose an amount less than 100%, the notes will be moved only part way, according to the percentage. Grid lets you define the note value that you want to use. I'm going to quantize to 16th notes. Type in 16. You can quantize to any possible note value. To jump quickly through the standard values, highlight the parameter and press the plus and minus buttons simultaneously. The swing and shift parameters allow you to further change the way notes are moved. 0% swing is straight time. 100% produces a triplet feel. Shift lets you move the notes forward or backward by a specific amount. Once you have the parameters set the way you want, press go. The 2500 carries out the edit. Now we can play the song to hear the change. Press done to return to the common page.
A lot of musicians and composers like to take loops from CD-ROM, especially for dance music, and I can show you here with the K2500 sequencer how to adjust the relative tempo of the sequence with the loop so that it matches up properly. So here I've loaded in this loop, and I can go to song mode and place it into a sequence. You see that the tempo is at 120, which is probably not the proper tempo for the song or for the loop, but if I just get the loop into the song and stop, doesn't matter how long I hold it, go into the event editor of the song and see that my starting note is at 120. I'm just going to bring that into the very first tick by pressing 001 and then enter. And now I've got the start of my loop at the very beginning of the song, and I can stretch it out for the full length of 1 bar, which is going to be 1 bar loop. I can save this song. Now, it's at tempo 120, which is not the proper tempo for this loop. As you'll hear, after 1 beat, it's not looping properly. So I can adjust with fractional tempos. I go into the event editor, and I see that there is no tempo indication here. To get a tempo marker into your song, you just press record and play, and then during the count-off, just change the tempo field 1 increment and then press stop. Save that, and now if I look in the event editor, I see that I have a tempo display. My guess is that the tempo of this loop is somewhere around 80. That may be a little slow. And press play and see how this is looping now. Okay, I see that it's a little bit slow. There should be only 1 kick drum there. And I can bring up this tempo fractionally, maybe around 85. This is getting pretty close. And there, I think we have it right about there. So, even though the tempo says 85, you can see that in the event editor, it's actually set at 85.62.
For our next track, we're going to record the drums. We'll be using the loop record method. Loop record works similarly to the way you create a pattern on a drum machine. You set a length for your loop, and then each time the 2500 goes through the loop, it adds what you are playing to the previously recorded info. The length of the loop is determined by the endpoint. Our endpoint is now set at the point where we press stop on our first track. We want to set our endpoint so that we can record an exact 4-bar loop. To set a new endpoint, press the Event Soft button. The event editor will list every single event in the track. You can scroll through the track and change individual things, such as note numbers, velocities, and durations. This is great for fixing wrong notes or other small mistakes. As you scroll, you'll hear each event. Notice that at the beginning of the track, you will find program and bank changes, along with initial volume and pan controller amounts. The 2500 creates these events when you first record the track. Scroll to the end of the track to change the endpoint. Since I'm making a 4-bar loop, I'll scroll over one parameter and type 5, 1, and then 0, 0, 0. Then, of course, I hit enter. Now press done, then exit. Since I've made changes to the track, the 2500 asks if I want to save the song. Press yes. I'll be saving back over my old song, so I'll choose replace. Now I'll record my drum track. Set the record track to 2 and call up a drum program. Go back to the miscellaneous page and set the record mode to the loop. I'm also going to set this track for input quantization. You can actually quantize during the recording process by setting the quantization parameters on this page, instead of quantizing in the editor. Once again, I'll choose 16th note quantization and 100%. Now return to the main page. Make sure that the mode is set to merge. This way it will add what you record each time it runs through your loop. If mode is set to erase, then each time you record in the loop, it will replace what was there previously. If you make a mistake while recording in loop mode, you can erase an individual note by holding the Enter button and striking the note that you want erased during the point in time you want to erase the note. I think what I'll do is erase that. So what we're going to do is hold down the Enter button and press that key of the crash symbol. So now it'll be gone. Next, I'll add the bass drum and the snare to the same track. And you'll notice it's quantized as I play it in. Good. Now we hit stop, then it'll ask you if you want to save the song, hit yes, and we can replace. Now I'll record a comping part for track 3. For this part I don't want to use input quantization, so I'll go back and set that to 0%. Then I'll go in advance to record on track 3 and pick a sound. Now we're ready to record. Fine. We'll stop, I'll save it, and replace. Now we'll show another example of track editing. Go back into the track editor and scroll to change. Press track. This allows you to modify or scale note velocities or the values of a specific controller. We'll scale the velocities on track 3 to 80%. You can use the offset parameter to add or subtract a specific amount. On constant, the mode parameter will affect all the notes in the range equally. You can set it to a positive or negative ramp so that the change occurs gradually from the start point to the end point of your defined range. For example, you could scale back the velocities over a 4-bar phrase using a negative ramp to create a decrescendo. I'll leave it on constant. And we'll save. Next, we'll record one more track. Go to track 4, and I'll pick a sound. And then we can start playing. Good. Now I can save this and then replace.
I'm going to show you how to do a program change for the top of a song. Here I have a drum program on channel 1. When I press play, I hear the particular drum set, and if I change, with the program field highlighted, I can change different drum kits and choose a kit that I like the best. I like this particular kit. When I press stop, the song updates its program parameter, its volume, pan, and tempo settings. If I want to put the program change in, all I do is press record, select the drum set I want here with the alpha wheel, and press stop. And my program change is now in the song. And as I said, this will also work the same for volume, pan, and tempo.
I'm going to show one more example of the track editor. Let's call up the erase function. Set the events to mono pressure. If your keyboard has mono pressure and was set to transmit it, you may have recorded a lot of pressure events into your sequence. If the sounds that you're playing do not utilize pressure, then these events waste a lot of memory. So we're going to get rid of them. Instead of erasing the pressure from just one track, we want to do this to all the tracks. By pressing both the channel bank buttons together, it switches to all tracks. Now I'm going to call up a version of this song I already completed with additional tracks. We're going to look at the mix page. As you can see, this page resembles the layout of a mixing board. You can set initial levels for each track or record changes in real time. You can play the song and change the levels and pan position for various tracks. In addition, you can mute individual tracks using the 8 mode buttons. You can access all 16 tracks by switching from 1 through 8 or 9 through 16. The muting is temporary and is in effect only while in the mix page. Let's do some of that. Once you have the settings you desire, you can press Keep to update the initial volume and pan settings found at the beginning of the track. If you want to record changes in real time, then you would record while on the mix page and make your changes. You'll need to start with New Song in order to create your own arrangement. And now we'll press Edit and then Arrange. On this page, you can take various songs and string them together to form an arrangement. This is extremely useful for saving memory. The 2500 has a limitation of 64K for any object except a sample. If you have a long and complex song, you can break it down into sections and save each section as a separate song. Then you can use the Arrange editor to put the sections together. If you have a section that repeats, you don't need to save it twice. You can have the Arrange editor play it twice. Let's look at the parameters on this page. Each part of the arrangement is called a step. For each step, you can assign a song. I have song number 202 assigned as step 1. As I scroll through the different steps, you can see that I've assigned a different song for each step. To add new steps, you press the Add button. You can delete a step with the Delete button. For each step, you can choose to mute individual tracks. In this way, you could assign the same song to 2 steps, but mute different tracks in each step. Then, when you play the arrangement, you will hear 2 different sections, even though they are using the same song. You can also transpose it a step and have it repeat any number of times. One great feature is that you can trigger steps from various keys and then play along with them. You can spread your different sequences across the keyboard and trigger them in any order you want to create arrangements in real time. As you can see, I have assigned the first song to C2 to G2. The second song is assigned to C3 to G3. And then I have the last song, step number 3, assigned to C4 to G4. Since the songs are assigned to a group of keys, as I play up and down the keyboard, the entire sequence will be transposed. However, I don't want the drums to transpose because the drums would trigger different keys that would lead to different sounds. To prevent this from happening, you tell the 2500 that a specific track is a drum track so that it will not respond to transposition. You set this parameter on the common page in the editor. So if I go to song 202 and look in the editor, you will see the track 3 is set as the drum track. There it is, D on the drum track. Now I'll go back to my arrangement song. Okay. You need to designate a channel to be used for triggering the different steps. Press Edit and set the trigger channel to 16. That's right here. Now we'll go back to the main page. Set the record track to 16. I'll call up a lead sound to jam on. The keys that are assigned to trigger the steps will not play the lead sound, but the other keys will, providing you're using the local keyboard channel parameter. I want to have both hands free for playing the lead. To do this, I'll go to the Arrange editor and set Latch On. Highlight any parameter except Program and hit Edit. If Program is highlighted, you will go to the Program editor when you press Edit. Now with Latch set to On, when you strike a key, it will play entirely through the song assigned to that key, even if I let go of the key. With Latch off, the song stops the moment that I release the key.